everyone. Time for some new messages. What has been going on this week? So the first I'm thinking about is release. We are all being asked to release the way we would view ourselves in the past. It's like we have this lens through which we're viewing ourselves, and it's not mirroring what we want to look like in the future. I got a vision today of me growing old. Like I was elder, and just the feeling of what my life looks like. And it was really inspiring and awakening, I would say. Another message I got was holding on and releasing, which this dynamic of holding on and not releasing is exactly what's, shall we say, keeps us from moving in the direction that we really want in the future. And why don't we release? What is it to release? Those were my questions that I asked this week and that I've been asking all of the last month, I would say. Like, why don't we release our past traumas, and why don't we release the hurt? How do we release? Why should we release? And if I release what I've been through, if I release my mindset and my thoughts, what does that make? What then does everything that I've been through mean? And the message I got was that releasing is not the same as erasing. When we talk about release, the message I got was more in the sense of energy. Like energy has to flow. It has to flow in and it has to flow out. So receiving and releasing is a part of the normal cycle. It's what we were doing as soon as we were born to this planet. We would have this dynamic of receiving and releasing, and transforming and releasing. As soon as that transforming part became painful for whatever reason, for example, a trauma, we would close down the releasing part and leave it within us. We would break the cycle of receiving energy and releasing energy. So we would become out of the flow of life. No release means no movement. So we can't have the cycle without releasing, and energy needs to move. What happens when energy becomes stagnant is that our lives mirror that. So when we talk about releasing trauma, releasing thought patterns, releasing all of this just sounds like, to me, when I hear someone talking about this, it sounds like, okay, that's just words, but what do they mean? Releasing thought patterns, releasing ideas, what does that mean? What it means is that we have created a self, myself, out of all the experiences that I've had in my life. all the experiences that I've had, I created out of actions that I took or did not take. Either way, it's an action that created. My actions were created by thoughts that I had. I was thinking thoughts. And that made me, I chose to commit to an action, and that action created a reality, and based out of that reality, I identified with that reality. So these thoughts that we have had, they are not always motivated from our soul's truth. Sometimes our circumstances inspire us to think in a certain way. We take on thought patterns, ideas, and then actions from our environment and the people who surround us. When we talk about release, it's simply like a blank page. It's nothing more than giving back an energy that has flowed through us. So even if we received some kind of information or we got inspired by something around us to create a thought, that energy still needs to flow and we need to release it. I have so much resistance to the whole thing about releasing that I'm a very unclear channel at the moment. I can feel my own fear and tension towards the subject of releasing. I really do not like it. And I think that's the message that wants to be shared today too. It's the resistance towards releasing that's of utmost importance to look at right now. You have to look at your resistance to release, because when your vessel is full and the energy does not flow, when the energy is stagnant, you cannot create. You cannot expand, you cannot experience, you cannot live, you cannot feel fulfillment, you cannot feel joy, nothing, because energy is life and life needs to flow. When you don't release, you drop all of that. You cannot feel life. So you cannot create what you want based on the fact that you have all these stagnant energy left in your fields. Physical, emotional, ethereal. And it's not so much about how to cleanse it, although it is important to research how to cleanse your own body. But what's most important is to look at where is the resistance to releasing, because if you did release, it would be natural. So the methods that we use in order to cleanse is more like a supplement. It's more additional that will help us overcome the block to release. So for me, when I was a child, I couldn't allow the energy to flow. I couldn't release things because I couldn't get resolution to why things happened the way they did. Why somebody yelled at me, say a little child, so somebody's yelling at me, and then they completely ignore the fact that they've yelled at me 10 minutes later, and they want me to act as if I'm not hurt by the fact that they just yelled at me. Because somebody yelling to me means that I'm bad. I'm bad, that's why they yelled. I deserve the punishment. If I don't get some sort of clarity regarding the fact, am I bad? What's bad? What have I done? What am I being blamed for? Why am I wrong? If it's just ignored, if there is no resolution, I could not release. I want to say simply because I didn't know. I didn't know that holding on is bad for life, bad for the whole flow of energy. I didn't know that releasing did not mean erasing, and I can't erase if I don't understand something. That would mean that I am bad, and I don't want to be bad. So I want to understand, and in order to understand, I need to keep things within me. I need to wait to get more clarity. I need to get smarter, braver, more educated. I need to ask questions. I need to ask for the answers. And all this just overwhelms me. And I think you can relate to this. Those of you watching and meant to hear this, just know that you're not alone, right? And it's a natural rhythm and a cycle, and I've said this several times now, to release your energy, not erasing. What else was coming through? I didn't know how to find resolution in something seemingly unfinished, right? Like the question, am I bad? I would never get an answer, but also like fights that would be going on. In my family, they would never get resolved. We would never come to an agreement. We would never even sit at the table like normal people who just value each other and respect each other, and we would not ever fully complete a dispute, meaning that the next time it would only continue where this argument left off. And when it left off, it was just because somebody above me of authority would say, let's drop this. This is the end of the discussion. There is nothing left here to understand. We're done. Go to your room. We don't need to explain ourselves to you. And I can feel it in me now. It's this energy of harboring. I need to keep it because I don't understand it. I don't understand why everything happened, and I'm pushing it down into my gut, and all this turns into spasms and cramps, and it's this unsettlement, and it just feeds the stress, or the stress feeds the unsettlement. And there is no balance, and there is no release, and there is no calmness, and there is no grounding in the energy, and there is no you don't see any progress. because you don't see the flow. If it just goes like this, there is no progress. You don't feel movement. You don't feel life. What this told me as a child was that I was out of control and I was powerless. I was powerless to the fact that I would never get any resolution. I would never understand why things happen the way they happen, and what my part in creating these scenarios is. I would never understand that. So to me today, carrying with me the wounded children from my childhood, the wounded inner children, when I try to commit to a releasing process, it tells those inner children the message that I'm trying to kill myself. I'm trying to dissociate from those aspects of self. The message that we're talking about today is regarding fighting our old selves. Releasing energy is not the same as erasing our identity. We can see how we were never broken, even back when we were children. We were never broken in that moment, even though we did not understand that moment. We were not broken, and still we are not broken. We are not broken, we are not wrong. There is nothing wrong with us, and there is nothing that needs to be fixed. There is nothing that needs to be erased, because we are not wrong. Imagine looking at a person that you love. Imagine holding their hand and walking with them through their childhood and looking back at their childhood, experiencing their childhood traumas with them. Would you be like, now here, you are wrong, and from this moment, you are broken? No, it wouldn't exist. You would go back and you would still look at that child, meaning that inner child of your friend, and they would still not be broken. And this is what we have to see in ourselves too. We were not broken then, and we are not broken now. And by seeing that it's not erasement of our past, because there is nothing that needs to be erased. We release the resistance to release our past. So it really has to do with teaching ourselves, going back in our lives and looking in our lives right now and everything that we've been through, and looking at how letting go is not erasing. And regarding fighting our old selves, we're not releasing our old selves. We're not trying to remove anything from the past. We are rewriting without erasing. We're just allowing for ourselves to unfold in the moment when we get the energy and we transmute it, we transform ourselves, we act upon the thoughts that we are creating, that we're thinking, we're doing the actions, we're creating the reality that we want, and we release. And then we do it again and again and again, and this resistance to creating ourselves dissipates. So for this week, look into where you're fighting your own old self because you think there is something you had to release because there was something that was wrong and broken. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.